The release of Fogel marks a milestone for the Trump administration as it seeks to bolster ties with Russia and mediate an end to the war in Ukraine. During his campaign, Trump pledged to help Fogel's family get him back home. Fogel's mother, Malphine, spoke with local news outlets and lobbied lawmakers to help her son's case. "For years, I worried if my son would ever come home. I pray for him every night," she said Tuesday. Vinnik is the former operator of the BTC cryptocurrency exchange, which processed $9 billion worth of transactions. He was arrested in 2017 in Greece and extradited to the United States, where he pleaded guilty to money laundering charges. According to US officials, the White House and Russian government agreed to exchange Vinnik for Fogel. Officials say that the US government will forfeit more than $100 million from Vinnik as part of the deal. Vinnik is in Northern California awaiting transport to return to Russia, the officials said. In his remarks, Trump praised the efforts of Fogel's mother and others who worked to secure her son's freedom. He also promised that another American, someone very special, would be released soon. He declined to provide further details about who or where the other detainee was. During his remarks, the president also addressed the ongoing conflict in Ukraine, saying that Russia is responsible for the deaths of dozens of Ukrainian soldiers and civilians. He also called on Ukraine to take steps to protect its border. Trump also highlighted Fogel's return and thanked the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin, for helping to bring him home. He added that the two countries are reopening channels of communication and will continue to work together to bring peace to the region. After leaving the White House, Fogel visited with his 95-year-old mother in Butler County, Pennsylvania. She cried when she heard her son's voice on the phone, saying, "Buongiorno," the standard greeting he uses for every call. He is expected to return to his wife and two children in Pennsylvania. He met with his hometown mayor and congressional delegation, including Representatives Marcy Kaptur, Andy Barr and David McCormick. Vinnik's release. Russia is releasing a convicted criminal in exchange for an American who was jailed in the country, officials confirmed Wednesday. Russian Alexander Vinnik was arrested in 2017 in Greece and later extradited to the United States, where he pleaded guilty last year to conspiracy to commit money laundering. He operated the BTC cryptocurrency exchange, which prosecutors described as one of the main ways cyber criminals laundered money. The Justice Department said it was used to funnel $4 billion from ransomware attacks, identity theft schemes, corrupt public officials, and narcotics distribution rings. Vinnik was arrested in a small beachside village in northern Greece while on vacation and remained detained until 2022, when the United States asked that he be returned to it to face charges for operating the BTC digital currency exchange. The Justice Department charged him with laundering more than $4 billion in Bitcoin and other digital currencies. Despite the massive amount of criminal proceeds Vinnik received from his BTC operation, he denied the allegations and refused to turn over documents related to his business. The Justice Department subsequently sought a prison sentence of at least 20 years for Vinnik, which was his maximum prison term under US law. In May 2024, Vinnik pleaded guilty in a San Francisco federal court to conspiracy to commit money laundering and agreed to forfeit $100 million of his criminal proceeds. His lawyer said he had pleaded guilty on only a limited number of charges, and that he expected to receive a sentence of less than 10 years. After his plea, the judge set a trial date of June. However, the trial was delayed until late September after Russia accused the United States of using the case to settle a dispute over sanctions against Moscow. The judge has since postponed the trial again until June. On Tuesday, Fogel stepped on US soil and was transferred to an American facility where he will await transportation back to Russia. Officials did not say which convicted criminal Vinnik was being released for, but the Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov referred to him as a Russian citizen. NBC News reported that the two Russians would be swapped in exchange for an American whose parents were killed in an attack in Moscow. Fogel's return to the USA. Smiling Mark Fogel waved to a crowd gathered at Joint Base Andrews as he boarded his flight back to the United States Tuesday evening. The Pennsylvania teacher, who spent more than 3 years in Russian captivity, was greeted by his family and lawmakers from his home state. "Thank you all for everything you did to bring this about," Fogel said. "I'm the luckiest man on earth right now." Fogel arrived in Washington about an hour after Trump's national security advisor, Mike Waltz, made a short statement indicating that the plane carrying him had just exited Russian airspace. The White House then posted a photo on social media platform X of the former prisoner sitting next to Trump's special Middle East envoy, Steve Witkoff, with the caption, "Promises made, promises keeped." The White House did not give details about what was exchanged for Fogel. A spokesman for the Russian embassy in the US did not respond to a request for comment. But Trump and his administration have been highly critical of previous prisoner swaps between Moscow and the West. The Fogel case is particularly sensitive because Russia has not been willing to free other Americans held by the country. The large prisoner swap in August that accompanied the release of Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich and former U.S. Marine Paul Whelan left out numerous other high-profile captives, including Fogel. On the flight from Russia, Fogel's sister Anne praised the work of Trump and his administration for securing her brother's release. She called the former president a man of his word, and noted that his team was able to break the impasse after the Biden administration's negotiations failed. After his arrival in the United States, Fogel was treated to a tour of the White House, which included being shown the Lincoln bedroom, a second-floor room that served as Abraham Lincoln's office during the Civil War. "I think you have to be there to truly appreciate it," Fogel said. A day after Fogel's release, Putin and Trump spoke on the phone. The two leaders agreed to work together, very closely, to bring an end to the 3-year-old conflict in Ukraine, according to a White House statement. Vinnik's return to Russia as part of a prisoner exchange that freed American teacher Mark Fogel. The Trump administration is releasing Russian cybercrime kingpin Alexander Vinnik back to Moscow. The Kremlin has yet to identify the man, who will be in America until he is transported to Russia, but US officials say they know him as the operator of the BTC cryptocurrency exchange. The American government says he has laundered billions through his operation. He was arrested in 2017 in Greece and extradited to France and the United States, where he pleaded guilty in 2024 to fraud and money laundering charges. Vinnik stepped off the plane in Washington on Wednesday and was taken to a facility that housed prisoners being transferred to other countries, according to Reuters. The official said he has forfeited more than $100 million and is expected to leave the country for Russia later in the week. The White House praised the historic prisoner exchange and said it would help to ease tensions between the two nations. It was the first such deal struck by the new administration. It could lead to a breakthrough in talks on other issues, including the 3-year war in Ukraine, in which hundreds of thousands have been killed. In a statement, the Justice Department thanked President Trump and other members of his team for their help in the negotiations, and the administration of Greek Prime Minister Alexis Tsipras for its assistance. The department also thanked the Alameda County Santa Rita Jail, where Vinnik had been held in Northern California, for its help and support in preparing to return him to his homeland. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov declined to comment on the details of the swap until the Russian citizen has returned to Moscow. The US government identified the Russian as Alexander Vinnik, who operated the online exchange BTCE and allegedly laundered $4 billion through it. The FBI said his activities facilitated ransomware attacks, identity theft, and drug trafficking rings. Earlier this month, US and Russian officials concluded talks on an agreement to release the convicted money launderer in exchange for Fogel. The US envoy who negotiated the deal said that while it was not a full resolution of all differences between the nations, the move is a show of good faith from Moscow and should open the door to broader discussions on issues like the war in Ukraine.